Okay, welcome to part D of session 18. I think I'm going to end it with this one. Um, and then 19, I'll finish the rest of the chapter um, of chapter 12. So I've made it through about half or two-thirds of the concepts from chapter 12. So I'm going to, for session 18, I'm going to end there, finish up the rest of the chapter in 19. Let me just do two more questions. Now, recall that I've already done number 17, 17B. I'm going to do question one, um, A, B, and C, and then question three. Okay, so if you want, hit the pause button, see if you can answer those on your own. Okay, assuming you're back, here is question one. Okay. In a widely publicized case in California, the ex wife of a doctor sued to obtain half the value of his medical degree on the grounds that she had um, helped to put him through medical school and was entitled to half of everything they owned under California's community property law. Okay. Um, First, before I, I get to this question, let me tell you a joke I saw of a stand-up comedian once. I think most of you watching this are probably single. Comedian I saw said, "Hey," he was a male. Says, "Hey, let me tell you." Um, Single guys out there, I know with you got a girlfriend. The way it works is you got your pile of money, she's got her pile of money, and everything works. You spend from your pile, she spends from her pile. When you're married, let me tell you how it works. You take both of your piles, put it into one big pile, and then for the rest of the marriage, you spend circling that pile to see who's going to make a move to spend some of that money. Okay. So that's the way it works. When you're married, all of your money is joint. Okay. So it doesn't matter who earned it. If the woman was a stay-at-home mom, still the man, whatever savings they have, half goes to each if they get divorced. Um, so unless they have some sort of prenuptial agreement before. Okay, so but this problem is assuming they don't. Okay, so this is the default, is that you don't have this, and so it's joint property. You split it up into two. The question, though, what about that medical degree? Okay, and so actually, I think makes it even easier. That it looks like the man was a doctor. Yeah, the man was a doctor, and the woman doesn't say her job, but even if she's a stay-at-home mom, whatever. Um, does she earn? Should she get half of the future benefits from that doctor degree because she helped that man get the doctor degree? That's what they are arguing. What should be the result of the divorce proceedings? Well, let me tell you, an economist, I think we would almost all be in agreement that that medical degree is human capital, and it is an asset just as much as if they had instead, that couple had instead of the man going to medical school, had worked, earned some money, saved that money, put it into stocks and bonds or land or building, physical capital, tangible capital versus human capital. And economists treat them the same. So, an economist, I think just about all of us would say, yeah, that court case, the wife should get, is entitled to half of that capital. And so, just as a stock or bond or a land or a building that you're earning rent from, the wife would be allowed to get half of the income from that I think most economists would say she should be entitled to half of the income from that extra capital that came from that medical degree, the extra human capital that came from the degree. Uh, do you agree? And I think just about all state courts would agree with what economists would claim. Um, B. Let me see. Suppose the couple had owned a house which burned down. Oh, let's see. A. Let me read it. Yeah, the attorney claimed that the education was not property and so could not be shared because it had no value at the time it was acquired. If the doctor had dropped dead upon receiving his diploma, his wife would not have gotten 1 cent. The attorney claimed. Do you agree? Well, okay. Yeah, that's true. The value of that human capital disappears if that doctor dies. But the same thing happens with a building. If a building burns down or depreciates somehow, the same thing can happen. So I would argue that that doesn't affect the decision on that. It's still human capital, even if it could disappear by some calamitous event. But the same thing happens with physical capital. Okay, part B. Um, Suppose the couple had owned a house which burned down at the time of the divorce. What steps? Here, I'll just read it. What steps do people take to protect themselves against the accidental destruction or other loss of valuable physical assets? They buy insurance. Okay, home insurance, fire insurance. Okay, what steps do young physicians usually take to assure their families a large income even if the physician drops dead? It's just life insurance. Okay, so similar ways you can protect that human capital through a life insurance policy, just as you can protect that physical capital through a home insurance policy or a fire insurance policy. Okay. Um, C. The doctor said, "I don't think she's entitled to half my future." Is His ex-wife said, "I should get a return on my investment in the partnership." The couple separated after 10 years of marriage, during which she worked as an accountant while he completed medical school, an internship, and a residency. How would you decide the issue? Yeah, so he was benefiting from that accountant income while he was married. Um, um, Whereas if they hadn't been married, that woman would have been uh, saving and investing that money. So this, once again, this medical degree that he got is human capital, and it's just for all intents and purposes the same as physical capital or stocks and bonds or any other type of capital. That's the way at least almost all economists would rule. Okay, next, number 3. Okay. A Santa Monica apartment owner decided to tear down his 6-unit apartment building rather than operate under rent controls. The city refused him permission to tear down the building, however, claiming that its interest in preserving rental housing took precedence over his right to demolish his property. The California Supreme Court sustained Santa Monica's refusal to allow the demolition. Okay, question is, who owns the building? Okay, sort out the actual legal and moral property rights in this case. Okay, so this is very much like the Coase theorem that I talked about in an earlier session. And I said to have a property right, first you need to be able to buy and sell it. Second, I'd argue you need to be able to destroy it. Okay, if you really own it, if it's really your property, you should be able to destroy it. So you could argue that that owner had a moral right to destroy the building. Okay, he did not have a legal right. So, as the California Supreme Court ruled, that he could not destroy the building. And I would say it's who owns the building. It's not clear he owns the entire thing. If he can't destroy it, it's not a property right, and it's really the Santa Monica government is the partial owner if it gets to decide rather than that owner what happens to the building. Okay, it says sort out the actual legal and moral property rights in this case. So you say the moral property right goes with the owner. Okay, the legal, he did not legally own. He only had a partial legal right to the building. I guess he could get money from the rent, but he did not have the total say. So he did not have a full legal right. And then the final question is what sort out the actual? Okay. He did not have an actual right, at least not a full actual right. So the difference between an actual right and a legal right, the law could say one thing, saying you own something, but if the police and the rest of the government are not willing to enforce it, you don't have an actual right to it. Now, in this case, there's no difference between the actual right and the legal right. The police were going to do exactly what the law said or what the court ruled. The only case where they would differ, and here's the only way I can think of, would be what if instead the Santa Monica Supreme Court had ruled the other way. Said, you owner, you can destroy the building if you want to. But let's say that the renters started protesting and they were outside and refused to leave. And so which made it hard for the building owner to destroy the building. If the police are not going to enforce what the law says, so remove those renters so the owner can destroy the building. If the police are not willing to do that, even though the law says that they should, you would say that the owner might have a legal right to owning the building, but his legal rights are completely owning the building. You'd say his actual rights are not, if the police are not willing to enforce what the law says. So that would be the special case of number 3. Okay, so I will end there. That is session 18. I'll see you in a few days, session 19, where I will finish chapter 12. Okay, see you then.